I'm Lacey from Just One More Fix, a proud member of the Gonna Geek Network, just like the show you're listening to now. The opinions expressed are those of each individual host. Check out all the other podcasts at GonnaGeekNetwork.com and get ready because geekiness begins in 3, 2, 1.
You are listening to the Starling Tribune, a podcast dedicated to the Arrow TV show.
I am the Green Arrow.
This podcast is not produced or maintained by the CW, Warner Brothers Television, CTV, or DC Comics. All characters, situations, and stories are the properties of Time Warner. I am the Oracle, and this is your Tribune.
Welcome back to Earth 2's favorite newspaper, the Starling Tribune. I'm the chief editor today. My name is SP, and your other award-winning reporters for this very, very special episode number 200 of the Starling Tribune are Chris.
This doesn't change anything, Haas.
And Michelle.
You have failed this omelet.
I think Chris has failed this podcast. I thought we were going to go H-free, but nope, you ruined it. Anyway,
sorry, Haas.
This podcast is recorded on Sunday, June 10th, 2018, live via www.geeks.live. And today, we're actually taking a break from our usual coverage of episode by episode of Arrow, Legends of Tomorrow, or whatever other DC property we are covering. And we're going to celebrate 200 episodes of our podcast, Starling Tribune. Michelle, go ahead and start the show.
All right. So first, why don't we talk about our history with the show? I remember it being advertised and going, I can't believe this. I want to watch a CW show right from the beginning. I want to watch it when it comes on. It sounds really cool. So I actually started watching from the beginning. I remember the first episode. I'm like, all right, this is pretty good. This Stephen Amell guy, he's a little rough around the edges acting wise, but ooh, look at that shirtless scene. Come on, come on. But by episode 3, with everything that we learn, because I assumed that they were going to do like a straight comic book adaptation. Oliver Queen, Playboy, stuck on the island for 5 years and then comes home and then that's it. And all of a sudden we're getting these flashbacks to the island and there's people there and he's lying from the get-go about being alone on the island. I mean, like right from there, I'm like going, this show is going to go in a direction I did not predict. I am hooked. What about you, Chris?
So I remember when it was announced, they said, oh, we're going to do this Arrow show. And then part of me went, Smallville just ended a couple years ago. Justin Hartley, who played Oliver Queen / Green Arrow, and there was like, hey, I'm open to doing that. And I was like, oh, they should just do a spin-off, continue the story without Superman. Just do Justin Hartley as the Green Arrow. And I remember at first being all butthurt because they didn't do that. They said they were going to do something fresh. And I was like, but you've got 10 seasons of Smallville to build upon. Why aren't you going to do this? But then I said, I'm going to give it a try. I think I saw the first trailer and it looked kind of brutal. There was some badass martial arts, people getting shot. And I went, whoa. This is kind of cool. This does not look like what I expect a CW show to look like. So I remember all the previews, just like you, Michelle, being like, okay, this has got promise. And then I watched the first episode and I went, holy crap. Did he just straight up break a dude's neck and not even bat an eye and stuff like that? And I was hooked because it was pretty cool fight scenes, minimal CW melodrama, and a dark hero. It felt very Batman-esque. And if you go back 7 years ago, Batman Fever riding very high at that point in time, and I kind of liked this darker, less happy-go-lucky Oliver Queen, and I was like, let's give this a try. Let's see how they do it a little differently. So I was watching from the very beginning, and they hooked me from the beginning, and I was an evangelist for the show. I had friends like, oh, I'm not sure I'm going to watch it. I was like, dude, watch this show. You're going to like it. And there were a lot of people that I got started watching the show because they were either A, upset because it wasn't more Smallville, or B, just were like, oh, I don't know, it's the CW. So there were friends of mine that I convinced, and they were happy with me for about 3 years. Then they didn't like me as much.
What about you, SP?
I came into this with blinders on. I had no idea. I did not watch any of the trailers. I had no idea that it was going to be on. Matter of fact, I missed the first entire season and never bothered to check it out or anything. But then in the fall of the second season, which it was 2013, Nightwing, who was running this podcast from the beginning, he started talking to me about, dude, I really would like somebody on the show that has never been involved in comics before, is coming in at from the new perspective. He's searching to fill out his hosting and looking for that perspective. So I started watching it for him, and I loved it from the beginning. Like you said, it was different from anything else that I had expected. I'm trying to remember if the original Daredevil series on Netflix came out before I started watching this or not. I think it might have been afterwards, but this was just the great fighting choreography that I wanted. And it was a different sort of superhero stuff than I had been used to on the MCU. So I just liked watching it and just continued, and eventually took over the show when we wanted to go off and do other things. So that's my story. Is I probably wouldn't have watched it without Nightwing doing kind of like what you said, Chris, is going out and saying, dude, you got to watch the show. So I did. And here I am all these years later, and it's been fun. Although, Chris, you mentioned that the Supernatural or the Smallville, people were upset about that not continuing. Ironically, all the shows on the CW now are titled hashtag the Arrowverse. So Arrow is actually the start of everything, not Smallville. So that's how things roll here. And as far as DC comics go, I was only a fan of the Michael Keaton Batman before then. I enjoyed the Green Lantern movie, but I hadn't delved too much into it. So this was really my jumping off point as it came for the DC Comics universe. So there you go.
So SP, were you reading comics at all before you watched Arrow?
Not really. No, actually, neither was I for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Over on the Marvel side of things, I started reading comic. Nightwing sent me a lot of stuff, a lot of Batman stuff, a lot of Flash stuff, and a few Green Arrow stuff. And then I started going to the comic book store, and I've got some of the New 52 comics actually back in that bookshelf right behind me there, and started reading into that. And then started with DC anyway, started going both feet in for the Rebirth. So it's been an exciting time.
So wait, you're one of those rare individuals that started watching a comic book property and then actually went into the comic book store, something comic book store owners were hoping would happen?
Yeah, I mean, it took a little bit extra. Like Nightwing had to ask me to watch the show, but after that, it's like, yeah, I want to know some of the background here, because just talking on the podcast and talking to everybody else, you start getting this deep background into the characters, like Black Canary and just everything, really. And I had no idea about it, so I wanted to learn more. Do I know everything? No, but I'm a little bit more versed now than I was back then.
Chris, what's your comic book background when it comes to Arrow?
To Arrow? Well, I read a lot of Spider-Man and Iron Man and stuff when I was younger, and really my go-to DC for the longest time was The Flash, but that was not Barry Allen. It was Wally West, so there wasn't a ton of crossover between Green Arrow there. He wasn't like an established friend of Green Arrow. He was a friend of Roy Harper, who was the Green Arrow's young ward and companion at one point in time. So I was familiar with Green Arrow in the comics, but I wasn't actively reading them. And in fact, really, the only DC I was reading at the time, like I said, was Flash, and then eventually some Batman stuff. So, strange enough, as we've been doing this show, I've actually started reading less and less comics because I got a little burnt out on some of the traditional superhero stuff. So now I'm reading like Star Wars stuff and independent studio stuff, and a little bit of the big two between Marvel and DC. So I'm still reading books, just not as much. And to be honest, I haven't picked up any Green Arrow monthly books, but I have picked up some of the trades from here and there, especially ones Neil recommended, like Longbow Hunters and stuff like that. So I'm still dabbling in reading a little bit of Green Arrow here and there, but like I said, not a huge Green Arrow comic fan.
I have to admit that was my case as well. I was a big Marvel girl in the 90s, some Batman. I knew who Green Arrow was. I was versed in it. I knew the basic story. I have to admit, when New 52 came out, I'm like, no, I'm not going to do this. But with Rebirth, I got right on board with Rebirth with Green Arrow. It's been a great run. Even though the creative team is new now, it is still excellent. And funny and sometimes very sexy because he has his relationship with Black Canary. If you are on the fence about picking up the Green Arrow Rebirth, I highly recommend it. Why don't we go to some of our favorite moments, whether it's from the show itself or maybe podcast moments. So over the course of this time, SP, what's been some of your favorite moments?
Well, the creation of the Bat checklist way back in like season 1, season 2, season 3, that sort of stuff, where we were likening the Green Arrow character to Batman because that's how they were writing him. And it was just fun to delve into some of that history because I think that Batman obviously has a richer comic book history than Green Arrow. And it's great that the writers were able to build off of that. So that was fun going through all of that. You gotta like trick arrows. If you're a fan of Green Arrow at all, we watch the show at all, this Arrow show, trick arrows are a thing. Now, they don't do as many as they probably should, but they're expensive to make both in CGI and real life. So you gotta delve them out a little bit slowly. And my favorite trick arrow was not the boxing glove arrow, although that was pretty cool. It was the fireworks arrow that happened just this past season. So that was pretty cool. You can't be a fan of the show and not like Christmas parties. Christmas parties are part of the show as the mid-season finale. You got to have a good Christmas party. They don't always do it. I can't remember how many, like 3 out of the 6 seasons they have had a Christmas party, maybe 4, but I think for sure 3. And yeah, those are always memorable because you always know that something bad's going to happen too. But one of my fondest memories, actually, I believe it was the first season in the Christmas party in the manor, in the Queen Manor, where you have the family picture with Walter and Moira and Oliver and Thea in front of the Christmas tree. That's when I think actually they did a freeze frame. They took a picture and maybe did a little freeze frame. I don't know. I don't remember, but I remember the picture. So that's pretty good. Talking about Walter, Colin Salmon, he's great having on the show. Miss him a lot. Wish he would come back. I think he would bring some gravitas back to the show. And he would be one of the few people left of the adults from the first season that would still be able to be around. Ray Palmer, my gosh, that guy was fun to have around. And even though he left for Legends of Tomorrow, having Superman on as Adam, come on, that was pretty fun. And go back to Firefly, Summer Glau coming on as Isabel Rochev. That was fun to have way back in season 2, especially how I don't think she met her demise like that, but I seem to remember Felicity jamming the van into her. I think
she got run over by a van, not a bus, but a van.
A van. Was Felicity driving or was Diggle driving? I think Felicity was driving.
I think it was Felicity.
Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't kill her, but it was still funny.
Right.
Very.
And of course, Shadow, who is the strife between Oliver and Slade Wilson. So Shadow, played by Selena Jade. My favorite, Anna Hopkins from Defiance, came on board as William's mom, Samantha. She was killed off in the Leon Yu explosion. And that gave me a lot of heartbreak until this season of The Expanse. She shows up on The Expanse. And I'm like, yes, Anna, you find your way to The Expanse. It's so cool. She does so great on those sci-fi shows. I'll bet you're going to mention this, Michelle, but I'm going to say it. The salmon ladder, for the ladies out there. I think they miss it. Yeah. I remember, Michelle, when we did the comic book special in Neil's hotel room. That was fun meeting for the first time. It was actually the first time I met Neil for the first time. So that was fun. An episode that just comes to mind out of all of them, not the Starling Tribune episode, but the Arrow episode, was The Climb, and that was season 3, episode 9. That was a big deal back then. Remember, he had to climb to the top of the mountain to face off against Roz, and ended up falling off that mountain. So he's still around today to talk about it. Must have a heck of a stuntman. And Katrina Law coming in as Nissa Al Ghul. She's just great. If you watch her on the Hallmark Channel, if you watch her on this, she's 2 different people. She's just a great actor to pull it all off. You gotta love the crossovers. Especially this past year, but the crossovers have been fun. Some better than others, some more utilization of all the characters and the storylines than others, but I think they've been the core of all these shows. And I think when you when you postulate why was Arrow renewed, I think the crossovers were a big deal. You know, my daughter is just catching up with all the CW shows now that they're on Netflix, except for Supergirl. And she reminded me of that this morning. She said, I haven't been able to watch the crossover because I haven't been able to watch the Supergirl episode on that because it's not on Netflix yet. And that is the start of the crossover. I'm like, yeah, you have to watch the Supergirl episode first for the crossover. So the crossovers have been fun. This is just a little bump in the road because in a couple of weeks, the season will be on Netflix and you'd be able to watch all four. But we were postulating, well, they put all four of those on Netflix as a special package, and they didn't. So it's series by series. And then my headcanon series finale, the Thanatos Guild, which was this year. That was another favorite moment when Thea says goodbye and Nyssa comes back on. We get the Sister Wives comment and everything. That was pretty good. And then another favorite moment of the podcast, I'll say, was definitely all the co-hosts that have been on the show. Nightwing, who started the show, Jay, Neil, and JS. And Neil still joins us from time to time, but the rest of them have gone on to their ways. They're all welcome on the show if they want to come back on, but Neil is the only one who's been able to come back on from time to time. So those are my favorite moments of the podcast and the show together. Chris, what do you think? What are your favorite moments?
So my list is not as exhaustive as yours, but I do have some stuff on there. First of all, Manu Bennett as Slade Wilson. When he first got brought on screen and like, oh, this is Slade Wilson, I was like, I bet they're going where I think they're going with it. And the payoff was better than I ever imagined. Season 1, you're like, okay, what's going to happen here? He's training him, but how does he eventually become Deathstroke? That's Billy Winter's mask out there, not Slade's. And the evolution from brothers and friends to bitter enemies and the payoff of Season 2. I still think Season 2 is the absolute best of this show. And that dynamic between Manu Bennett and Stephen Amell was fantastic. I loved seeing how it all wrapped up. And I was sad to see him go, and I think it's been a point I've brought up every time. Every time Slade Wilson comes back on this show, I've really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the redemption of Slade Wilson that we got this season, and I was keeping my fingers crossed we might get more with him. Evidently, that's not going to happen because, you know, he's got his own movie coming and things like that. Another thing I really loved, the Suicide Squad, and the fact that they got Tara Strong to do the voice of uncredited inmate, which was basically Harley Quinn. That's just a subtle, nice little Easter egg that people who watched the cartoons or played the video games kind of smiled and went, oh yeah, that's the actual voice of Harley Quinn. I love that you did that. Again, one of my favorite high points there. I've really enjoyed seeing Stephen Amell grow as an actor throughout all of this. One of the things I said in Season 1 is, I really like the show, but Stephen Amell's kind of wooden in that role. Maybe he's going to grow into it. And as I started watching more and more, I realized that was probably done on purpose by him because the Oliver that came back from the island was standing apart from everyone. He had not been having normal interactions with folks like that, so it made sense he'd be a little off, for lack of a better term. And I've just enjoyed seeing how he's grown into that role and how he's interacted with all his fans during that time. I think there's a lot of celebrities out there that could learn how to do social media from Stephen Amell. He's very honest with his fans. If he misspeaks on something, he admits it. He calls them out when they do something that's ridiculous. It's refreshing to see someone who is a TV star but still seems like a regular person. I've really enjoyed that. Oh gosh, what's some of the other stuff? I love the fact that this show spawned off so many other shows. Legends of Tomorrow is probably one of my favorite superhero shows out there. I've said it's my favorite of the Arrowverse, and without this, we never would have gotten it. We never would have gotten some of the characters I really enjoy on that show. Katie Lotz as Sarah Lance has become such a different character, but such a great character from when she was first introduced, and I enjoy following her on social media. I enjoy the character that's out there. There's just a good group of people they seem to have involved with things. Much like SP, Brandon Routh as Ray Palmer, I think is an incredible highlight of this show. I think it's a great get, and I love the way that Brandon Routh plays it. There's a lot of stuff I really enjoyed in this show, and I enjoy what's come of it. Like the first crossover when they were going to do The Flash, I remember going, how the hell are they going to do this? And it was perfect. I loved the crossover they brought in to establish Barry Allen that was basically a backdoor pilot for his show. It was great. When they're firing on all cylinders, this show is great. I still think part of what happened that hurt this show, and we're seeing it hurt the others now, is there's too much going on. And I don't think they've got the people to properly cover everything. So I think that's why we see some issues here and there in the current time. But when this was hitting on all cylinders, season 1, 2, and 3, It was a great ride. There's so many things I really enjoy. I've enjoyed getting to come on the internet and talk about it with my current co-hosts, SP and Michelle, and of course, co-hosts in the past, JS, Jay, and Wing. It's been a ton of fun to get to come online, geek out about this show that we all enjoy, and even when we're critical of it, still have fun and still see the things that we like about it. I know I personally was very critical for a good chunk of season 5 and for a good chunk of season 6, and when the show didn't draw me in, I have to say it was the interaction I had with SP, with Michelle, and Neil when he was coming on occasionally to talk about things and iron it out. And it was almost like therapy. So I enjoy and I thank you guys for the group therapy you've provided me on the episodes that just kind of hit me the wrong way.
For me, it's been interesting because I listened to the podcast, with the guys and then eventually being asked to be a guest on a podcast you listen to and you like is kind of surreal and amazing. And clicking with you guys, and Neil was still joining us and such. And then being asked to be a permanent host. I have to admit, I'm a woman. There's not a lot of women who get to podcast about comics and other geeky things. Sometimes there's a lot of just all women podcasts, but we have now, a couple of guys and me. And so it's just kind of nice how whenever I do bring like the perspective of being a woman, I don't get shut down and I don't get mansplained. And I love that very much. And I've always appreciated that. So thank you very much. I have to admit, one of my favorite podcast moments is when I opened up that surprise box. And for some reason, I just started tossing things over my shoulder and it made you guys laugh. And I just remember Neil's reaction and such. And I just kept doing it. I'm always going to remember that. And meeting Neil, it was great. And, with SP doing that episode. For the show, I was really surprised by Diggle. I was not expecting Oliver to make a friend so quickly like he did. I mean, they're not like, they weren't immediate besties, but to see a male friendship grow on television like that, don't really see that a lot because they've really come, like they've had a lot of their moments and they've worked through it. And yes, they've done that punching thing, but it's been really interesting to see that relationship. The women have been interesting. Lover or hater, Moira. I do miss Mama Queen. I was disappointed how they handled Laura. Love Sarah. When she was on that whole complicated, she was alive in the past and then she came back. And then, of course, Nyssa. And then learning that Sarah and Nyssa were together. It's like, whoa. Yeah. And Felicity, at first I really did like Felicity. They have kind of mishandled what they wanted to do with her and such. And I'm hoping that now that they're married, that they can just sort of put a lot of that stuff behind and it becomes, I really hope that it becomes like a working marriage, kind of like how we saw Lila and Diggle this season. So I kind of hope that we get a little bit more of like Mr. and Mrs. Smith with both couples instead of just relationship drama and all of a sudden, are they going to get divorced? I hope that doesn't happen. But coming on here, talking with you guys about it has helped. And like Chris said, some therapy. And yeah, sometimes with some of the episodes, it's like, man, I don't know. And coming on here, I'm just like, yeah, this is good. This is good.
It's been a pleasure having you on, Michelle. I
Indeed.
really enjoy having you around.
Well, thank you very much. I hope you still like me after this next segment.
Uh-oh, that's ominous.
This next segment is trivia time.
Uh-oh.
Yes. There are 5 categories for 5 questions each. Each question would be worth 1 point each. Why? I don't feel like doing a lot of math.
That's fair.
There will be a final question where you get to wager points. I have no idea where I got the idea for a game like this. It's just, you know, everyone gets to play. SP has his own Google document with his name that I can see. And then Chris has his own little document that I can see. And then this way, yes, Chris, hello. And this way, everyone gets a chance to play. Once you've typed in your answer, and definitely put you in this P. Once you've done the answer, erase it so that way then we can move on to the next question. Gentlemen, do you have any questions before we begin?
Do I have to use English?
Please.
Okay.
Well,
All
damn,
right.
I was going to use Klingon.
I know, I'm sorry.
Let's think about using math.
I'm behind on my Rosetta Stone lessons for Klingon. I think there is a Rosetta program for Klingon.
I believe
Is
you're
there?
right.
Yeah, you are correct. Klingon is an actual language.
All right. So our first category is production. These are questions about the writers and directors of the episode. Whenever I have a question about an episode, I will give you the season, the episode number, and the title. Okay. Are we ready?
Yep.
Let's do it.
All right. Question 1. Who wrote season 5, episode 13, Spectre of the Gun? Who wrote season 5, episode 13, Spectre of the Gun? And yes, both gentlemen immediately got it correct. Mr. Guggenheim, I remember that podcast episode very well. So thank you very much. Gentlemen, please clear your answers because I have to have your, yeah, there we go. Thank you. Question 2. When it comes to directing, what is the significance of season 4, episode 7, Brotherhood? When it comes to directing, what is the significance of season 4, episode 7, Brotherhood? Wow. Excellent, gentlemen. Both of you got it correct. It is Bam Bam's first directing debut. Yes, it's his first episode. Excellent.
That was a lucky guess.
No, yeah, the same here. I'm going production category. I'm screwed, I think.
Hey, who knows? Let's see about this one. When it comes to writing, what is the significance of season 1, episode 15, Dodger? When it comes to writing, what is the significance of season 1, episode 15, Dodger?
I'm just guessing.
Honesty is the best answer. So I gave an honest answer.
Yeah, Chris, let's see. SP, current showrunner's first writing episode. Well, it is her first solo episode. So you know what? I'm going to give it to you, SP.
Ooh.
Nice.
I am. Because it's her first solo. So you can actually say that she wrote that herself. So SP, good job.
Was that her first solo writing credit ever? Okay.
Not ever, but like for Arrow.
Okay.
When you go to that in IMDb, I am doing IMDb. It's only Beth Schwartz. So
Okay.
So that's how long she's been. She's been with the show since season 1. I did not know that. Okay.
I did know that, but I remember season 1 being a bunch of Berlanti and Guggenheim and Kreisberg stuff. So it's very few and far between that you got somebody else.
Yep. Next question. What do the following directors have in common? Alexander LaRoche, Dermot Downs, Thor Freudenthal, and Kevin Takeron. What do they all have in common? Alexander LaRoche, Dermot Downs, Thor Freudenthal, Kevin Takeron.
Yes.
I don't know if this is right, but I want it to be.
No,
Damn.
I'm sorry, gentlemen. Both of you are incorrect.
Bummer.
These directors have directed at least one episode of all 4 Arrowverse shows.
Makes sense. They did not
They had-
direct episodes of Chuck like I thought.
For the record, I was saying both Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Arrow.
Yes, I know. It's a list Kevin Smith wants to be a part of, but he's not because he hasn't done Arrow.
No.
Of the following, who wrote the most episodes of Arrow? Ben Skolowaski, Beth Schwartz, Mark Guggenheim, or Wendy Miracle? And I mean written, no teleplay, no story by, just written. Who's written the most? Ben Skolowaski, Beth Schwartz, Mark Guggenheim, or Wendy Miracle?
I'm thinking this is a trick, so I'm thinking alternatively. I'm probably going to lose because of that.
You got to choose somebody on the list. I'm going to go with Ben, but I think it's probably going to be Mark.
Stop reading my mind.
Yeah.
Actually, it is Wendy Miracle.
Oh, that's why I started to type in second guess myself.
That's what we're wrong with the show.
Mark Guggenheim has written 16. Ben wrote 22. Beth, 24. Wendy, 25.
Damn it.
That's going to have that because I can only imagine she's going to write an episode or 2 next year.
Yeah.
Just a few.
All right. So that's the end of our first category. SP's in the lead for 3, and Chris has 2. All right. Next category is called Legendary First Appearances. So some of the characters who have been on Arrow have been on Legends of Tomorrow. So this category is about characters who have been on Legends of Tomorrow. I'm going to ask you when they first appeared on Arrow.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. This is going to be tough.
All right. So, which character, and when I say it has appeared on Legends, I'm not just talking about the crew. It's crew, villains, heroes, whatever.
Do crossovers count?
No,
Okay.
no crossovers. Actually, I have no questions about crossovers in any of these questions.
Excellent.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, because that would be too character. I automatically went no crossover in my little thing. All right. Which character who has appeared on Legends of Tomorrow first appeared on Arrow in season 1, episode 4, An Innocent Man? Which character who has appeared on Legends first appeared on Arrow in season 1, episode 4, An Innocent Man?
I got nothing.
I know this isn't right, but I need a guess on paper. It would help if I could spell.
I don't remember the plot for that. He's appeared on. Oh, I know. What's his name?
I am struggling.
There we go. Gentlemen, you actually both got it correct. It is Malcolm Merlin.
Wow. I did not think that was right.
I couldn't remember his name. Oh, he's been stricken from my memory because of I don't know what he did, but they killed him on the island.
I miss Merlin. I love John Barrowman so much. I was so happy when they brought him on the show because I'm a big fan of Torchwood.
Pretty sure they just couldn't pay him, so that's why he's not around.
Yeah. Which character who has appeared on Legends first appeared on Arrow in season 3, episode 1, The Calm? Which character who has appeared on Legends first appeared on Arrow in season 3, episode 1, The Calm?
I don't think that's right either, but I'm going to go with it.
Yep, I'm guessing.
And SP, you guessed correctly. It is Ray Palmer. Sorry, Chris.
Oh, that's right. For some reason, I was thinking he was season 2. He appeared first.
I didn't think he appeared in the first episode. That again, I'm just guessing on who was in the 3rd season. So
I not only just I did my research, I not only just went with IMDb, I actually went and watched a lot of Arrow episodes to verify. Yes. So this wasn't just me, thinking, oh, this website is right. I would go back and watch. So we watched a lot of these.
All right.
Which character who has appeared on Legends first appeared on Arrow in season 4, episode 5, Haunted? Which character who has appeared on Legends first appeared on Arrow in season 4, episode 5, Haunted?
A favorite, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-oh. Yeah, I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't know.
Okay. SP, you are correct. It is Mr. Constantine.
Yes. Haunted. It's the only thing that I was going off of. Haunted. Like, who would be haunted that we've had on the show? Oh, yeah, Constantine.
Which character who has appeared on Legends first appeared on Arrow in season 4, episode 1, Green Arrow? Which character first appeared on Arrow in season 4, episode 1, Green Arrow?
It doesn't have to be a hero, right?
Nope. Villain, crew member.
Oh, crap. Why can't I remember his... There we go.
I know. So many names to remember.
And yes, you both got it correct. It
Ding,
is
ding, ding, ding.
Damien Dark.
I started to write Neil McDonough.
I would have.
One in the same. You can't have Damien Dark without Neil McDonough's eyes.
Exactly. All right. Okay. Last question in the category. Which character who has appeared on Legends first appeared on Arrow in season 3, episode 4, The Magician? Which character has appeared on Legends first appeared on Arrow in season 3, episode 4, The Magician?
I'm locking this one in, but I don't think it's right. But better lucky than good.
Oh, no.
I feel your pain. I'm just glad I had a guess on this one.
SP, final moments.
I got nothing.
Okay. Chris, you are correct. It is Ra's al Ghul.
Oh, really?
Yes. Remember, Ross was in that time displaced episode. Sarah went to the League.
Okay.
Yep.
Way to go, Chris.
The only reason I thought of it is because that's when we found out Malcolm's league code name, if I remember correctly. So it made sense in my head. I don't know if it's right. We're just going with it.
Right now, SP has 7, and Chris, you have 5. So still close. The next category is Name That Item.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
Okay. Items are big, items are small. It's just a thing. What did Felicity give Oliver in season 3, episode 1, The Calm? What did Felicity give Oliver in season 3, episode 1, The Calm?
An item, huh?
Yeah, it's a thing.
I got an idea. But all it is an idea. And I'm going with it because why not?
Probably wrong.
Are those your final answers, gentlemen?
Yeah.
Yes.
No.
You both are incorrect. It is a fern.
Oh, that's where I started. Damn it.
Fern!
That's what I had
Oh,
first
the
down.
baby with the love fern.
Is the fern still there? I mean, is it, or did it blow up?
It probably blew up.
I
Yeah.
blew up. R.I.P. Fern. We loved you. What did Oliver get from Constantine in season 4, episode 5, Haunted? What did Oliver get from Constantine in season 4, episode 5, Haunted? And yes, you all are correct. The magic tattoo.
Who could not forget the magic tattoo?
Hey. What item was seen and used a lot during the first 2 seasons but hasn't been seen in the later seasons, making Michelle a little sad. This nice, wonderful, big object. Yes, gentlemen, it is the salmon ladder. Both of you are correct.
I think we're all sad. I think the women should be on the salmon ladder more too.
Everyone should salmon ladder.
William definitely should.
I appreciated when Sarah was on the salmon ladder. I when Sarah and Diggle and Oliver is all training and stuff. Okay. What does Walter find in season 1, episode 4, An Innocent Man? What does Walter find in season 1, episode 4, An Innocent Man?
Ooh, season 1. It's been a while. It's been like 6 years.
I know. My answer, I think, was not placed correctly, but in terms of the timeline, but I know he found said item, so I went with it. I was trying to buy you some time, Chris.
I don't know.
Ooh, darn it. He found the Queen's Gambit.
Oh.
I knew my answer. I'm not going to say my answer because it's probably going to come up.
I actually rewatched that episode to make sure that he didn't find the notebook and the Queen's Gambit at the same time. But that's the episode where he finds out about that missing money and Tempest and
goes to the warehouse.
Goes to the warehouse. Yep.
All right.
R.I.P.
Queen's Gambit. We should have Queen's Gambit 2 on the show, dang it.
Yes. That's the final episode. They've built the Queen's Gambit 2 and they sail off into the sunset. Okay. Last question of the category. What invention first appeared in season 5, episode 15, Fighting Fire with Fire? What invention first appeared in season 5, episode 15, Fighting Fire with Fire? And yes, it's the T-spheres.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I didn't know it was so late. I thought it came in before then. Wow.
No. Remember,
For the record, my answer has a question mark on it.
I still counted it. We kept complaining about, like, when is he going to do it? And I rewatched that episode and Renee's making all the ball jokes. It's great.
Does he say Haas?
Of course.
Of course he does, Haas.
Man. All right. So SP's at 10 and now Chris at 8. So SP still has that 2-point lead. Next category is revelations. Okay. What big thing did we learn? We, the audience. And it has to be something that's verbalized. We actually, even if it's something that we suspected, this is the episode where it's confirmed. We hear it, we learn it. Okay. First question. What did we learn in season 5, episode 15, Fighting Fire with Fire? What big thing did we learn in season 5, episode 15, Fighting Fire with Fire?
Pardon my poor spelling.
It's okay.
Learn something.
I don't think I'm right, but I feel good about my answer, if that makes sense.
SP, do you have an answer?
I'm typing it in right now, but it's probably not right.
Chris, you are correct. It is at Adrian Chase's Prometheus.
Oh, there we go.
Mid-season finale time is all I could think.
15. No, mid-season is like 8 or 9. You're talking 15.
So in the same scene, we learned 2 things. So what 2 big things did we learn in season 2, episode 7, State versus Queen?
State versus Queen.
Oh, jeez.
At the end of the episode.
I got nothing.
Yeah, I don't know.
What? Neither one of you?
No clue.
No
Nope.
guess? No guess? Okay. All right. So This is the episode where Moira gets acquitted and she's surprised and she's driving in the car and she thinks she's going home. Then she ends up in this random parking lot. The driver gets out. She gets out, and all of a sudden he gets shot with an arrow. And we learn that Malcolm Merlin is alive and that he is Thea's dad.
Oh. I had Thea running around in my head, but I couldn't remember why. And I didn't remember that Malcolm was still alive. So, nope, I wouldn't have gotten that.
Nope, me neither.
Gotcha.
You did.
What does Oliver learn in season 2, episode 14, Time of Death? What does Oliver learn in season 2, episode 14, Time of Death?
I have a guess. I'm not 100% sure of my guess, but I'm okay with this one as well.
I'm not okay with mine.
These are final answers?
Yeah.
Yes.
Chris, you are correct. That
Yes.
Slade Wilson is alive in the present. Yes.
All right.
I loved that moment. It's nice to meet you, Mr. Queen.
Yeah, it was pretty great.
With his deep slurred accent. Love it.
What do we learn about Oliver in season 1, episode 3, Lone Gunman? What do we learn about
Oh,
Oliver?
geez.
This is a big thing. Big, like, oh my God. What do we learn about Oliver in season 1, episode 3, Lone Gunman? Shocked the bleep out of me.
He's actually a woman?
Hey, if he wants to be a woman, go for it.
Exactly. Right.
That's not even a good guess, but I just wanted something on paper.
Yep. Same here.
The answer is that Oliver is a captain in the Bratva.
I thought that was later in season 1.
No. I'm like, that was one of the things, like episode 3. I'm like, he's a captain in the Bratva. This show, that's when it had me hooked. Like, how did this boy become a captain in the Bratva?
Was Diggle with him when he went in there? I know Diggle went back with him at some point, but
I don't
was
think
Diggle
he
No,
with
he
him?
was by himself. Yeah.
Okay.
He had ditched Diggle. Last question in the category. What does Thea learn in season 3, episode 13, Canaries? What does Thea learn in season 3, episode 13, Canaries?
I have an idea. I'm almost confident.
Those your final answers?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
She actually found out that Oliver is the Green Arrow.
Ah, damn.
Way to go, Chris.
I didn't have it.
Oh, I didn't either.
I thought she killed Sarah's when she found out that she killed Sarah.
All right. We are tied.
Ooh, it's a brand new
Going-
game.
Yes, we are tied going into the last category called Let's Get Physical.
Uh-oh.
Not sure what physicals means in the contents of the show, but context of the show, but let's find
You
out.
better start singing some Olivia Newton-John.
First question. What activity did Oliver do at the start of the first episode of seasons 1, 2, 3, and 4? The first episode of these seasons 1, 2, 3, and 4 started with Oliver doing a certain physical activity. What was that activity?
Yes.
I guessed. I should have gone with something else, I think, though.
It's actually running.
Oh.
Yeah, I remember him running through the forest in Leon U.
And then he ran in the beginning of 2, 3, and 4. I actually watched the beginning moments of all of them. For some reason, in seasons 5 and 6, they don't have him do it, and I kind of missed it.
Bum knee, probably, or something like that.
Yeah. What do Oliver and Felicity do in season 3, episode 20, The Fallen? What do Oliver and Felicity do in season 3, episode 20, The Fallen? Let's see. SP says they bumped nasties. Chris says get it on. Both are acceptable because that is correct.
All right.
Nice.
Next question. What does Thea do for the first time in season 3, episode 23, My Name is Oliver Queen? What does Thea do for the first time in season 3, episode 23, My Name is Oliver Queen?
I don't think that was until season 4, but I'm going to go with this.
Those your final answers?
Yes.
Yeah.
And SP, you are right. She finally suits up
Yes.
as Speedy.
Ah, damn.
I would have also accepted Kills as Speedy because she does shoot that guy.
Okay.
What do Laurel and Thea do in season 4, episode 2, The Candidate? What do Laurel and Thea do in season 4, episode 2, The Candidate?
Hmm.
Remember, this is a physical action.
Oh, yeah.
So what do Laurel and Thea do in season 4, episode 2, The Candidate?
I'm glad you said
Happened.
that. My first answer was totally wrong then. This one's probably wrong, but I'm not 100% sure that it is.
Are those your final?
No, I'm thinking. I don't know if you'll accept this, but there you go.
Is that your final answer,
Yeah,
Chris?
that is okay.
Those.
This is my final answer.
You know what, SP? They do that in episode 3 because in episode 2 they dig up Sarah.
Oh.
Yep. They dig up Sarah.
My answer was travel to Nana Parbat.
Or bet. Yep, close. That's what they do in the next episode.
I remember that. That was a bonding moment for them digging
Yeah.
around.
I mean,
I
that's
forgot about that.
You know, like you best friends. You take each other to the airport. You help move, and you dig up your sister's grave.
Makes
All
sense.
right. What technique did Shadow use to start Oliver's training in season 1, episode 19, Unfinished Business? What technique did Shadow use to start Oliver's training in season 1, episode 19,
I remember now.
Unfinished Business? Those your final answers?
Yes.
Chris probably has it.
Chris, you are correct. It's slapping water.
I just remembered you forgot the biggest joke ever.
I know.
In the water.
Oh.
I had to end this trivia with slapping water. And that's how I kind of came up with this category. It's like, how can I fit in slapping water? And then there we go. So that's going to go in our final question. That's total. It's 1, 2, 3.
It's how all superheroes are trained. They slap water. Oh my gosh. Can't believe I didn't remember that.
6, 7, 8, 9,
There's no
10.
wax on, wax
11,
on. They're
12.
slapping water.
Slapping the water. Da, 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 da,
And
da.
literally, there's no euphemism there, folks. It's literally slapping water.
Literally.
Ooh, gentlemen, you are tied with 12 points each.
Ooh, a Gonna Geek tradition.
Yes. The final question has to do with Diggle. So, gentlemen, would you please put how many points you're
Oh.
going to wager?
What the hell, right?
You both have 12. Those are your final wagers?
Yep.
Yeah, sure. I'm in.
All right. Why is season 1, episode 4, An Innocent Man, an important Diggle episode? Why is season 1, episode 4, An Innocent Man, an important Diggle episode? This is the final question. Why is season 1, episode 4, An Innocent Man, an important Diggle episode? Season 1, episode 4.
I don't know about this. I might have made a big mistake.
We'll see. I might have made a big mistake too.
See, Chris says we find out about Carly, sister-in-law, and bro backstory. SP says Diggle finds out Oliver is the Hood. SP, you are correct.
Nice.
Woohoo!
He learns that. I would have also accepted. He learns that Oliver's the Hood, and at the end of the episode, he agrees to work with him. But this is the big one where he does find out that Oliver is the Hood. Remember, he wakes up from being poisoned and sees Oliver right there. So, SP, you wagered 1 point, so that brings you to 13. Chris, you wagered everything, and I'm sorry. That brings you to 0. So, SP, you are the winner of our trivia. Congratulations.
I didn't want to, Chris. I was sure you would get the answer, and I only wagered 1, thinking you would shoot past me.
Hey, no worries. No guts, no glory. That's how I looked at it.
All right. Well, it was a good game, sir. Good game.
Indeed. Well played. Well fought. Well questioned, ma'am.
Oh, I'm glad you liked my questions.
Yeah. And you know what? If our listeners have questions for us, they can go ahead and write them in, and then we'll say our answers, and then they can write us in with the answers.
Yes, please. Go ahead. What do you wish I would have asked these two? That would be great to find out.
And then you can actually participate as well.
I know. I have to admit, it was really fun rewatching a lot of these episodes. If you notice, a lot of the questions came from same episodes because I only had so much time.
Right.
And it's like, a lot happens in this episode. I can get 3 questions out of it. Also,
there are 6 seasons filled with 23 episodes. That's well over 150 episodes, really? Is that it? 150 episodes?
Sounds about right.
About, right?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, so you're not going to watch that in a week.
No.
Even if you've got some sort of, like, you're watching through Netflix and you got some sort of program that'll speed that up, you're still not going to, 138 episodes, you're still not going to get through all that. So anyway, well played. Well played. Thank you for doing that. That was fun.
well, I'm glad we had a lot of fun celebrating 200 episodes of the Starling Tribune. Next week, we are going to resume our regularly scheduled programming and go back to talking about Legends of Tomorrow. We are going to cover Helen Hunt, which is season 3, episode 6. It aired Tuesday, November 14th, 2017. The legends track down an anachronism in 1930s Hollywood, where Helen of Troy has started a war between 2 film studios. It's directed by David Geddes, written by Kato Sumitsu and Uba Muhammad. Now, we are part of a large podcast network, aren't we, Chris?
That's right, Michelle. We're part of a great network of shows that you can find over at GonnaGeek.com. There's 25 plus different shows in the network that cover a variety of different topics. You're familiar with us, the Starling Tribune. We cover Arrow and the Arrowverse, so fairly narrow focus. We've got other things that cover like tabletop gaming, board gaming, all sorts of things. We can't run down all 25 shows each week, but what we can do is give you a little taste of one of the shows and say, hey, maybe you should check this one out. And this week, we're talking about episode 60 of Game Life Balance Australia, entitled The Crime of Milk Baggery. Rob and AC throw caution to the wind along with their regular format for a freewheeling stream of nonsense episode. So join the lads as they discuss Canadian milk containment solutions, Rob's crime van, AC's Happy Juice, trademark pending of course, the weird joy of Lisa the RPG, and the insane frustration of trying to aim precisely using an analog stick. There's some crazy stuff going on in the latest episode of Game Life Balance US, so go check that out over at GonnaGeek.com.
That's Game Life Balance Australia, sir.
That's true. The US version is also available too, so go check them out too while you're at it. You'll like that too, I'm sure. But looking at the time, it is time for us to start wrapping things up. So a big thank you to our live listeners and also the folks that catch the replays at a later date, both video and audio wise. You can find the audio version over at starlingtribune.com, and you can check out the video recaps over on youtube.com/GonnaGeek.
If you have an Amazon device, you can enable our podcast as a skill. So all you have to do is say enable Starling Tribune, and we will be right there. You have to say the activation word too first, but I'm not gonna, because I'm not gonna activate your device.
Thank you.
And remember, you can always catch us live as we record at www.geeks.live at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific time frame. on Sundays.
We would love to hear from you. We are the Starling Tribune on Facebook and Instagram, at Starling Tribune on Twitter, and you can call us at 612-888-CAVE. That's 612-888-2283. Well, this brings us to the end of a very special episode. Any last words before we sign off? At Stargate Pioneer.
Hashtag Bat Checklist.
At the Chris Farrell.
Hashtag slapping water, Hoss.
And I am at Michelle Ely, signing off with hashtag more salmon ladder. Oracle, I think we're done here.
This was the Starling Tribune. You can leave us feedback at gonnageek.com or check out our archive at starlingtribune.com. Visit gonnageek.com for more podcasts. Music by Kevin MacLeod can be found at incompetech.com. This podcast is not produced or maintained by the CW, Warner Brothers Television, CTV, or DC Comics. All characters, stories, and situations are the property of Time Warner. No infringement is intended. We will see you for the next episode of CW's Arrow.